A Hand to Hold by Zetta Elliott, illustrated by Purple Wong. I have always had a hand to hold. When I came home from the hospital, Daddy put his pinky finger next to my hand and my tiny fingers curled around his. When I took my first steps, Daddy's hands reached out for me. He and Mama clapped real loud when I walked all by myself. Daddy's hands are big and strong. They push me high up in the sky when I'm on the swing. Daddy's hands can also be gentle. When I fall and scrape my knee, Daddy wipes away my tears and covers the cut with a bandage. Daddy's fingers know how to find all my tickle spots. I'm not a baby anymore, but I still love to hold my daddy's hand. When it's time to cross the street, Daddy blinks his hand at me. Open, closed, open, closed. Daddy's hands keep blinking until I slip my hand inside. Then we look both ways and cross the street together. We hold hands on our way to the park, at the grocery store, and at the library. Sometimes new places can be frightening, but I'm never scared when I'm holding my daddy's hand. One day, it was time for me to start school. Daddy took my hand and we walked there together. I had never been to school before. I felt happy and excited, but also nervous and afraid. What would school be like? I wasn't sure, but as long as Daddy held on to my hand, I knew everything would be okay. There were lots of children inside the classroom. Some of them were laughing and some of them were crying. I tugged at Daddy's hand. "Let's go play over there," I said. Daddy smiled at me but shook his head. "It's time for me to go now," he said. "No," I cried. I held on to Daddy's hand as tightly as I could. Inside my heart was going boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. "If you don't let go of my hand, how will you play with the other children?" asked Daddy. I looked at all the kids having fun. "I don't want to play anymore," I said. I buried my face in Daddy's leg. Daddy knelt down and cupped my face in his soft brown hands. "You're not afraid, are you?" I wanted to be brave, but inside I felt scared. I nodded, and a single tear rolled down my cheek. Daddy brushed my tear away. "Don't be afraid," he said. "You're not alone. There are lots of children here." Another tear rolled down my cheek. Daddy kissed it away. "If you keep your hands open," said Daddy, "you'll soon grab hold of something new. You can't paint a picture or play in the sandbox if you're holding on to my hand." I looked around the classroom. There were lots of fun things to do. Only a couple of kids were crying now. All the other children were making friends and having fun. I wanted to have fun with them, but I didn't want Daddy to go. Daddy wrapped his arms around me and gave me a hug. In my ear, he whispered, "If you let go of my hand, you can still hold on with your heart. That way, I'll always be with you, even when our hands can't touch." "Can you do that?" asked Daddy. "Can you hold on with your heart?" "Maybe," I whispered. "Let's try it now and see what happens," Daddy said with a grin. He slipped both his hands into his pockets and went to stand by the door. I stood by myself in the middle of the classroom. My heart was going boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. My fingers felt lonely without a hand to hold. Should I grab hold of something new? A paintbrush? A shovel? A book? I just held my own hand and watched the other children play. Then a lady with a friendly face came over to talk to me. She was holding a little girl by the hand. "I'm looking for a partner for Jenny," she said. "Would you like to play with her in the sandbox?" Jenny looked sad. and a little bit scared. Suddenly, my lonely fingers knew just what to do. I smiled and held out my hand. Jenny slipped her fingers inside mine and smiled back at me. "My mommy just left," said Jenny. "Did you cry?" I asked. Jenny nodded and looked at her shoes. "That's okay," I told her. "I cried a little too." Jenny smiled again and gave my hand a squeeze. "Did your mommy leave already?" she asked. I shook my head and looked toward the classroom door. "My daddy brought me to school today, but he's going home now." Daddy took one hand out of his pocket, he touched his heart, and then waved goodbye. With my free hand, I waved back at Daddy, and then Jenny and I went to play. The end.